The people who are best at reading others aren't the ones with the highest IQ. They're the ones who understand something most people never think to question, that human behavior, under the right lens, is almost entirely predictable. Not because people are simple, because people are consistent in ways they don't realize. The same cognitive shortcuts, the same social pressures, the same defaults under stress. They show up again and again, and once you know the actual framework behind them, you stop guessing and start seeing moves before they happen. Most people trying to predict someone's next move are asking the wrong question entirely. They're asking what the smart move is, but that's not what drives behavior. Here's what's actually going on. There's a real documented framework in behavioral economics called cognitive hierarchy theory, and it essentially maps out why certain people always seem to be one step ahead. It models how individuals make decisions based on their beliefs about others' reasoning levels. And the wild part? Bounded rationality frameworks like this one categorize players into different levels of reasoning sophistication, and they explain why people deviate systematically from what's considered the optimal prediction. In other words, the research tells us that being smarter isn't the edge. Knowing how deep other people think is the edge. And that's exactly what this video is going to teach you. We're going to walk through 10 steps that build on each other, and by the end, you'll understand a specific mechanic that almost nobody talks about. The actual ceiling on how deep strategic prediction needs to go before it starts working against you. Keep that in mind as we go through this, because it changes everything. Let's start with step 1, and it's probably not what you expect. Step 1, stop predicting what's logical. Start predicting what's comfortable. Here's the thing that breaks most people's models. They assume the person they're watching will do the smart thing. But research on strategic games consistently shows that even trained economists deviate from what's theoretically optimal when actual stakes are involved. Real-world decision-makers often use a variety of heuristic strategies rather than calculated ones. So the first rule of foresight is this: don't model what someone should do. Model what feels safe to them. Under pressure, people don't optimize. They default. Step 2. Understand the 3 levels of thinkers. Level 0 players act randomly or based on simple rules. Level 1 players respond to what they expect Level 0 players to do. Level 2 and above assume that lower levels exist and build their responses accordingly. Most people in real life are sitting at Level 1. They're thinking about what the other person might do, but they stop there. In situations with a high proportion of lower-level thinkers, higher-level players can exploit that non-strategic behavior and achieve better outcomes. You don't need to be a genius. You just need to be one layer deeper than whoever you're dealing with, and know that most people aren't going past 1. Step 3. Learn the actual brain hardware behind prediction. Psychologists call this theory of mind, the ability to model what someone else is thinking, feeling, or planning. It refers to the ability to understand and infer others' thoughts, emotions, and intentions. And here's the part that matters for real-world use. Your brain runs this ability on 2 speeds. The fast version is emotional, reactive, and only looks a few seconds ahead. The slow version is deliberate and projects much further into the future. The problem is that under stress, almost everyone collapses into the fast version, which means the moment someone feels threatened or overwhelmed, their next move becomes drastically more predictable, not less. Step 4. Recognize that this skill is trainable, not inherited. There's a real test used in psychology research called the Reading the Mind in the Eyes test. Developed by Professor Simon Baron-Cohen and his team at the University of Cambridge, it assesses a person's ability to recognize emotions from subtle facial cues. It's widely used to measure theory of mind and social intelligence at an advanced level in humans. And what the research consistently shows is that this ability is independent of raw intelligence. You can be highly intelligent and still be bad at reading people. And you can be average in IQ and be remarkably good at it. Foresight is a trainable skill. That's a much more useful thing to hear than some people are just wired for this. Step 5. Observe twice before you predict once. Here's something the research makes very clear. One-off interactions are nearly impossible to predict with any real accuracy. But repeated interactions? Completely different story. Studies on repeated games versus single encounters show that human behavior becomes dramatically more readable once patterns emerge. The practical version of this: you can't reliably outpredict a stranger. but anyone you've watched make decisions 2 or 3 times becomes statistically readable. So before you try to predict someone, ask yourself, have I seen this person under pressure before? If the answer is yes, you already have more data than you think. Step 6. Don't ignore altruism. It's not noise, it's a pattern. Most people trying to predict behavior make one consistent mistake. They assume pure self-interest. They think, what does this person stand to gain? But updated research in game theory shows that people regularly sacrifice personal payoff for social reputation. Not because they're irrational, but because humans are deeply wired for how they're perceived by others. A predictor who models only material incentives will miss this every single time. The real question to ask isn't, what do they want? It's, what do they want to be seen wanting? Step 7. Track behavior like a data log, not a personality type. There's a growing body of AI research that trains models specifically to predict individual next moves from behavioral history rather than from personality classification. The human version of this principle is something most strategists get completely backwards. We love to put people in boxes. She's aggressive, he's passive, they're unpredictable. But those labels are almost useless for actual prediction. What works is tracking the sequence of moves someone makes in specific situations, not who they are, what they did, in order, last time. Step 8. Model their beliefs about your beliefs. The cognitive hierarchy model assumes that an agent performs a limited number of iterations of strategic reasoning. I think that, you think that, I think. This is called nested belief modeling, and it's where real strategic foresight lives. But here's the thing that almost nobody mentions. There's a hard ceiling on how useful this gets. Research on higher-order theory of mind shows that predictive power increases with each added layer, but returns diminish sharply past 2 or 3 layers, even for skilled reasoners. So the goal isn't infinite recursion. The goal is knowing exactly when to stop calculating and act. Step 9. Use stress as a signal. When a situation becomes more chaotic, more high stakes, more uncertain, untrained people's predictions collapse. Their fast emotional reasoning kicks in, and they make the move that feels safest, not the move that's smartest. But for someone who's trained this skill, that's the exact moment their advantage sharpens. Because you know that under pressure, people narrow down to a very short list of predictable defaults. Stress doesn't make people unpredictable. It makes them more predictable than ever, if you know what to look for. Step 10. Play the beauty contest. This is the one I promised you at the start, and it's the one almost nobody knows about. In behavioral economics, there's a famous experiment called the beauty contest game. Players are asked to guess a number closest to 2/3 of the average guess of all participants. The game motivates participants to iteratively anticipate each other's choices. A researcher can actually infer from a player's chosen number how many iterations they performed, and by extension, how many iterations they expected from others. In early experiments, the average guess was around 35, and many participants chose 33, 2/3 of the midpoint, showing exactly one level of reasoning. The winners weren't the people who picked the smartest number. They were the people who correctly modeled what everyone else thought was smart. That's the whole game. Not what's the right answer, but what does everyone else think the right answer is? And what does that make the right answer? That's the mechanic behind every great strategic mind you've ever admired. They're not smarter. They're reasoning about reasoning. So here's where we land. Predicting people isn't about intelligence. It's about knowing that most people stop thinking at level 1, that stress makes behavior more predictable rather than less, that altruism is a variable, not noise, and that the ceiling on useful recursion is around 2 to 3 layers deep. You started this video thinking foresight was some innate gift. It's actually a structured skill with documented mechanics. And now you have 10 of them. If this kind of thinking is something you want to go deeper on, drop a comment with the word levels, and I'll know exactly what kind of content to make next. And if you want to understand how this connects to the way high performers actually build their decision-making systems, the next video is right there. It goes places this one didn't have time to.